Hello everyone, I'm here today with a new process video, and this is part 2 of my album that features Amsterdam, Belgium, a little bit of France. And when I left off at the end of part 1, it was all of Amsterdam was complete for that part of the trip, and then I was moving on to Brussels. So what you will see here is part of Brussels and then Ghent, because we took a day trip and part of where we went was Ghent. And then once that's done, I'll move on from there. So this is really sort of the middle section of this album. So right away to start off, I had a 6x8 page insert instead of a full 6x12, and it was just talking about our arrival when we left the train and figured out how to get to our hotel. So it was very, very simple there. And then because we took an evening train, by the time we got in and got settled in our room, we really didn't want to go out in the city again. And it turned out that our hotel had multiple restaurants in it, and we just decided to try this one, Shanghai Kitchen. We both love Asian food, and we thought, well, if there's Chinese food right at our doorstep, we might as well try it. So we did, and it was wonderful. And I loved all these fun little drink stickers that I got to use with this. Those are from Pipsticks. And then the next morning, we knew we were going to spend the whole day out and about in the city, so we got up early and we needed coffee. And so St. Hubert's Gallery, we had to pass through that every day. It was just the easiest way to walk to get to anything, really. And in there was a great African coffee place. And so we stopped in there, tried that out, had to do a layout of it, and kept it very simple, just some labels. Again, I was trying to keep a lot of what I was using very flat because I knew this album was going to be huge right from the beginning. And I think I've done a good job so far of using very few kind of 3D elements in order to keep it in check. And this is an example of that, as is this layout over here. We went to the KBR Museum, which is all about illuminated manuscripts that were owned by the Dukes of Burgundy. And they actually had some stickers for the museum in their gift shop. So I ended up using quite a few of those, and those are flat. So it certainly helps when you're trying to design and not go crazy on the bulk. So I appreciate that gift shop very much. And so here, this was actually a postcard that I got in the gift shop, just a little phrase label. And then they had a very cool brochure. And so I thought, okay, I want to put that in there. It folds all the way out that way. And then I did an enlarged photo on the back. For the right side of the layout, I used more of those stickers from the gift shop and just did a little strip of vellum there. Kept it really simple, but I love the way it looks, and I feel like that gold foil really fits with the theme of the museum. And similar thing here, I used a lot of the stickers to just kind of overlap that border there, and then I did a little bit of gold splattering. Not a lot, but a little, just because you can see there's gold foiling on a lot of these pages. So more stickers, little ink splattering, and we were good to go with that one. And then these were just some things we saw like out walking the streets. This is actually right next to the KBR, so we just got lucky that it happened to be right there. And again, labels, a flat tag, but also with foiling, which is cool. Another just phrase here, very, very simple, but it gets the point across, I think. And it showcases the photos, which is the point after all. When we were done there, we went to try a local chocolatier that was near there. And so I kept the business card that I got. I just made a little fold over pocket with a die that I have and dropped the business card in there. Wrote a little bit about it, did a puffy sticker, some stamping. Nothing, nothing earth shattering here, but I like the way it turned out. And same thing on this side. After we did that, we kind of did it in reverse order. We had dessert first, I guess, and then had lunch. But then we were ready to actually eat a meal. And this place was just kind of up the hill from the chocolatier. So it worked out. And at first we're like, oh, it's just a sandwich place, no big deal. It actually ended up being super good. Everything was fresh. Like, I think they baked their bread right there, and they made everything in front of us. And you can see like the different breads you're getting in the case. So you can pick out what you want. Pardon me, forgot to mention there's some swearing there. That was on their billboard thing out front. And I'm going to admit that, like, we were going to eat there anyway, but that was just an extra bonus for it because we're like, okay, that's kind of cool. And then here, I just enlarged a photo again because I loved this building. We just don't have that in the US. I mean, look at that. So I took that and I just used some oversized embellishments and ephemera pieces to bring it all together because, you know, on a 6x12 space, everything kind of has to be huge sometimes to fill that up. And I feel like these did a good job of that. After that, we were on to the Cathedral of St. Michael and St. Gudula, also pretty much in the center of Brussels. And so we went over there. Again, I did an enlarged photo because the front is so gorgeous. And then this was a bookmark that I bought in the gift shop. I love that it had the cutouts. I love that you can kind of see some stuff through it. So I just used an attacher to add that in. I didn't do anything to the back. I just left it as is. But then here's the other side. And again, all flat embellishments. Just a little ephemera piece, a little pendant, nothing crazy. And then here, this was also a very simple one, but the pictures are so busy. There's so much happening that I wanted that. So I just dropped this card in. I didn't do anything to it, which is awesome. And then here, you know, I just gave it a little bit of a border and stuck on a piece of washi that matched. So it worked out well and I didn't have to do a whole lot, which is great. And then on this side, somewhat similar, just some phrase labels, a little pendant here that I had, and I was trying to match the yellow gold tones that were in the windows, and I think I was pretty successful there. This is all still inside the cathedral, and I loved this foiled paper, so that worked out well. And then we were done in there. I had way more photos, but there's no way I could use them all. But we were done there, and then we decided to go get some bubble tea because we had passed this place and we wanted to go back and get some, so we did that. And then our hotel was very near Grand Place, and so we thought, okay, we're going to go down and see these buildings that we've heard so much about, and they did not disappoint. Look at that architecture. It's kind of crazy. Again, we don't have this where I live, so this was great. And then on this one, I did a huge enlarged photo, and the problem is that while the album is big enough this way to have this size, it's not big enough this way. So when this is open, this hangs past the back edge of the album, so that's not good. So I had to figure out a way to fit it in, and the best way was to just create my own page protector, do a separation right in the middle, and then it just becomes 2 panels. And I think that worked out pretty well. And then this way when it's open, we get the whole view there, and then this opens up too, so they all go together. That's a massive layout, actually, when you look at it like that. Then that gets tucked under and it just sits there. And then you can look at what's on this side. And I will say this card I actually had to redo because the gold splattering, I was so impatient that when I put it in the album, it wasn't completely dry and it smeared all over the place. Now, sometimes things will smear and you can kind of get it off if you do it quickly. That was not happening with this one. It just had to be redone. So it does look a little bit different than what I showed in the process video. So when we were going back to our hotel, we had to pass through St. Hubert's again. And so we decided to pop into this chocolate shop, and they also had macarons, and those were fantastic. I bought a box of ones where you can kind of mix and match, and they were lovely. And then I got some chocolate for some friends. So I have that in there. And this one, I believe, is the only one where I haven't done the journaling in this section. I will go back and do that, but it's going to be longer. And I just didn't want to do that and have to wait to do the flip-through. So that will come later, but the layout is all put together at least. And so it's just about our VIP access that we got to the lounge when we checked into our hotel. Sorry about that. My furnace is making a horrible noise when it kicks on. We have to have that checked. So I apologize if that happens again. And then here we are at night. There was a food hall right across the street called Wolf, and it had 17 different vendors that you could just go in and kind of walk around, see what catches your eye, and then pick what you wanted. So I chose to have Greek, that night. My daughter chose something different, but everything we had was very good. And again, I kept it simple here. A little bit of chipboard, so that is raised a tiny bit. There's a puffy sticker, but still relatively flat. So that was the end of that day in Brussels, and then the next day was when we visited Ghent. So this is where that starts, and I love that I was able to put a label here that says welcome to Ghent, so you can tell it's a shift. We're moving to something else, and you see that even before you open up this flap. That's what it looks like when it's open. Pretty simple. This is all flat here. Here I did veer off from that because I had this acrylic piece and I didn't know how I was ever going to use it. This is kind of a somewhat odd color, but it worked fairly well with the colors in this building. So when I saw the chance to use it, I jumped at it. And continued on with Ghent. These are just some street scenes, but everything was so lovely that I wanted to include those. I loved all those buildings along the river, so I put that in, and I liked being able to use some bright colors like this. And over here, just some streets and alleyways as we were walking along to our next stop. And I loved that a lot of these had gold detailing on them, and so this worked out well to use this large sticker. And I've had a sheet of these for a long time, and I think I'm now down to only having one word left from them, but they've been hard to use because they're so large. And then more photos along the river. This one does have an acrylic piece that, you know, stands up from the page a little bit, but it's not horrible. And then these are just ephemera pieces I had from digital files that I cut out. So they're flat, but they add a nice touch. I love this one. It's so large, and I was worried I wouldn't be able to use it, but it fit perfectly on this card. And over here we have just some more beautiful buildings, churches here, and just a municipal building there. And I just tried to match the color in this guy's coat because it was a dark red, so was this. I was like, all right, I know I've got this tag, I'll use that. And then here we have, again, more buildings. Can you tell that I really liked the architecture in Ghent? I wanted to showcase it, and so again, lots of photo labels, puffy stickers, that's kind of it. Same thing here. I do have this little ephemera piece of this house. This is actually what determined the colors for the page, is because I loved this so much. And then here we are inside St. Bavo's, looking around. It's beautiful on the inside. So you can see that's the main area, and then the thing you're going to see next, the Adoration of the Lamb, is in a separate area because like it's a major tourist attraction, so it kind of has its own area where they funnel people away from the main area of the church, because this is an active church, so they do have services here and other things going on besides all the tourists. But then here I kind of went with the same thing. I kept it very simple. I picked a bright color, and I got it from this woman's jacket. I just picked it out and used that to inspire me. And then I did a little bit of stamping right here. It looks like I have cat hair on there. There we go. Just a little bit of stamping, and that was it. Called it done. And then this is the final layout for Ghent, and it's actually several pieces. So I have this left-hand side, and I had 2 cards there. I definitely had to do journaling because this was like my number one thing that I wanted to do in Belgium. And so I wanted to make sure that I talked about that. So I have all those in there. Then I did an insert with a little connector piece again of the brochure so that you can read all the details about what's actually in this altarpiece. What am I looking at? So that's all there. I didn't want to cover that up. And then the last page is actually a special insert, a 4x12 that are all horizontal pockets. And that's somewhat uncommon. This is from Close to My Heart. That's who makes this insert. So if you like it, you can go out and find it. And it worked perfectly for what I had because I really planned it around the size of this ticket. So it worked perfectly for me in the end. And then I just did another one of those big words to kind of use those up. And that's it for Ghent. So when I come back and start doing other process videos, we'll move on to Bruges and then back to Brussels. Thanks for watching.